We're off and running on a Friday. Chase Senior's in the house. Always look forward to this stream. And sometimes, people have accused us of, hey, you know what? You guys are making up topics. There's nothing to talk. There's a lot to talk about today. Yesterday, the Niners traded for Sky Moore. Today, they traded for Brian Robinson. The cut down is Tuesday. Jennings' situation is no clearer than it has been. So we got a lot to get to, and let's get right to it. Chase, first of all, why don't we start with the most recent trade? The Niners traded a 6th-round pick to the Commanders today for Brian Robinson. And with that move, they add, I think, a legitimate RB2 to their running back room. What did you think of the deal?
I like the move. And I had said earlier this week, look, with all of the injuries at the running back spot and the uncertainty around Christian McCaffrey, it's great that McCaffrey looks like the 2023 CMC who won Offensive Player of the Year and was top 5 in MVP voting, but he's an older back. Last year, he had bilateral Achilles tendonitis and that knee issue, only played 4 games, didn't have a touchdown, it didn't look right. But after him, and CMC himself has missed 10 or more games in 3 of the last 5 years, Isaac Guerendo literally always injured. That has been the MO on him going back to Wisconsin, Louisville, and at the NFL level. Jordan James is out with that finger issue. Corey Kiner, who I like as a UDFA, he has that high ankle sprain. You signed Jeff Wilson, but Jeff Wilson is Jeff Wilson at this point, a little bit long in the tooth, and he looked good on Saturday against the Raiders. But this is a great move by San Francisco to bring in a starting running back who is now going to be your RB2. It gives you some optionality and versatility on the offensive side of the ball because you can, of course, use CMC as a running back, but you can use him in the slot as a receiver, especially when you're a little bit thin at the wide receiver spot, very thin at wide receiver. And you're going to be running a lot of 12 personnel and 21 personnel, and you can get creative with how you utilize McCaffrey and how you utilize Brian Robinson, who in every year that he's been in the NFL, first 3 years since being a 3rd-round pick, he's had more than 700 yards rushing in each year. He is a physical-looking running back who sometimes doesn't run like that. Wasn't a great scheme fit for Washington because Cliff Kingsbury comes from the air raid school of offense from Mike Leach, where you run a lot of 4 verts and you spread things out. And because of that, Brian Robinson didn't fit, but he was also a little bit indecisive running in between the tackles. I think with Kyle Shanahan, he can really get to firing on all cylinders. And here's the thing. You're trading for a guy who's going to be able to help you in 2025 at an injury-depleted position, and you're giving up a 6th-round pick for a potential starter, if not a really good RB2. I'm always trying to extract the best value in these trades. Washington made it known to everybody that he was on the trading block because they deactivated him on Monday Night Football. And so you get a player who everybody knew was going to get dealt, and you give up a 6th-round pick when you have so many draft picks in 2026 either way. So I like the player. I like the scheme fit. It's at a position of need for San Francisco. I think this is a really good move for the Niners here. And Kyle Shanahan and Bobby Turner have done such a great job of developing backs in their system and maximizing backs in their system. And I think Brian Robinson is going to be the next one.
Is there more to this than meets the eye? I mean, the Commanders have Austin Eckler. They have Jeremy McNichols. They have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, the rookie from Arizona, Chris Rodriguez. They got other guys, but this guy is coming off of a career year. He almost ran for 800 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. He's only 26. He's a free agent at the end of the year. I know he wants a new deal, but do you think it's just I kind of wonder what's at play here. The only thing I could think of is that maybe they feel like Robinson, who's very much in the prime of his career, was going to have running back carries taken away from him because of the presence of Krosky-Merritt. And maybe they thought he wasn't going to respond well to that, or he would not be happy, or he would create some awkwardness there. Because, I mean, I other than that, I can't imagine what it is, because you literally, it's like, you watch baseball. I mean, it's like trading a starting pitcher in April.
Right.
What are the odds that you're going to need more bolstering of your rotation before the end of the year? It's like almost every team needs more pitching. So it's like the old saying, you can never have enough pitching in baseball. Well, and I kind of feel like for a running football team, you can never have enough quality backs. So I'm a little bit surprised that Washington made the trade. I also am surprised, anytime I'm always surprised, Chase, when there's a good player who's like, yeah, we want to get a day 3 pick, and if we don't get what we want, we'll release him. It's like, well, wait a second. How does that serve your purpose? And I've seen this thrown out in a number of times through the years. It's like, yeah, team A is shopping this player, but if they don't get a good offer, they're just going to release him. Well, isn't that little nugget kind of a way to guarantee that you're not going to get a good offer? I mean, to me, for the 49ers to throw a 6th round pick for a starting NFL running back literally days before you start the season, that just seems crazy. That seems like somebody saying, as you're going cross country, here, give me a nickel and I'll give you, 10 gallons of gas in a jug. You're going cross country. You may need that 10 gallons for the nickel. You know what I mean? It's like the price for Robinson just seems absurdly low. Is there more to the story than meets the eye?
Well, I think with this new regime with Washington, they're very analytically sound. And that's Joshua Harris, the owner. That's Adam Peters as the GM. That's them as an organization in totality. And this is a new era following the fraud Dan Snyder owning that team for decades. And I think they look at Robinson as a back who was entering the final year of his deal. They wanted to try to recoup any value they could for a player who they were going to let walk anyway. I think that they are very high on the rookie, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and they want him to be the number 1. And going back to the analytical point, there's this, that Brian Robinson last year, numbers-wise in his career, has been pretty productive, 700-plus rushing yards in every year. But despite facing the 5th easiest schedule of run defenses last year, Robinson, among 50 running backs, ranked 27th in yards per carry at 4.3, 37th in explosive run rate, 35th in stuff rate. And then he also ranked 45th with 34% of his rushes going for 1 or fewer yard. And that's the indecisiveness that I speak of. Sometimes when he would run in between the tackles, he is looking like a big physical bruising back who has leg churn, but he doesn't always play like that. And he's so indecisive, where I think he left a lot of meat on the bone. And for Cliff Kingsbury, he's like, look, in this offense, we just can't have it. And when we do want to spread it out, and we do run it, the running back has to take what is there. And Brian Robinson never did that. And so I worry a little bit about that with him coming to the Niners, because in Shanahan's outside zone, you got to see hole, hit hole. You do have to be decisive. And sometimes Brian Robinson is not. But Cliff was also running a completely different, more finesse offense than the Niners are running. And so hopefully they're able to bring the best out of Brian Robinson here with the Niners. Is he going to run like Jordan Mason, who I know a lot of Niner fans wish he was still on the team? No, but I do have a lot of confidence in Shanahan with this scheme, with his play designs, with his play calling, Bobby Turner and Chris Forrester with the blocking scheme up front, to put Robinson in a position where he can succeed. And again, you have all of that uncertainty at the running back position on top of Christian McCaffrey with all of the other injuries. You are bringing in a starting caliber back on August 22nd, who is now going to be your RB2, and you get him for a 6th round pick. And so for Washington, yeah, they got nothing back for Robinson, but they're recouping one asset for a player who they were not going to bring back, number 1. And number 2, he wasn't going to be their starter. Frankly, I don't know if he was going to be their second stringer either, because they like Chris Rodriguez as well.
It's interesting. It's like, from the Washington perspective, I still don't get it. I mean, they saved $3.3 million in salary cap space in the deal. Maybe
Niners had $46.5 million before this deal.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe the Commanders are kind of hugged up on the cap. Maybe it's a financial situation to some degree, but I mean, they're leaning on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. We're talking about a Pac-12 receiver who weighs less than 210 pounds. Austin Eckler is another back they have. He's another guy. He's probably he's older, and he's like 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're the odds that the Commanders might be looking for another back later in the year. I don't know. I would say it's pretty high. Now, from the Niner perspective, this is the one thing where football is baffling to me compared to the other sports. In the other sports, it seems like if you didn't have leverage, you would pay a premium. like if you lost 5 starting pitchers and you're a contender and you're the Yankees and you're trying to get a starting pitcher at the deadline, everybody knows you lost 5 starting pitchers, and the price goes way up. Right. How can a 49er team that has CMC that's everybody's got to know that CMC, the Niners are desperate to have a good run on RB2. And then you got Guerrero, who's kind of a gadget guy. Both your rookie backs are hurt. Patrick Taylor's done for the year. Other than that, you got Keyshawn Vaughn and Jeff Wilson. Why would a team that's in your conference trade you a back that is going to help you get to the Super Bowl? The same Super Bowl that if you reach, it guarantees that they don't reach. It's like, it just seems, I mean, I get it for the cap savings, and I get it for he wants a big money deal. They don't want him. I get it. They like Krosky Merritt. They have some other guys. But once again, what about the Niners situation here? The Niners were over a barrel. They have nobody. They were going to be leaning on running backs cut by other teams, and somehow they get a starting NFL caliber running back in his prime, and they're giving up a 6th round draft choice for a healthy starting NFL running back coming off his career year. I mean, to me, I tweeted out at John Lynch, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. This is absolutely a smart deal for the 49ers.
Smart
to me,
deal.
Once the Niners, if you said to me, what do the Niners need to win the Super Bowl? Well, obviously they got a young team and a lot of fronts, and there's all kinds of things that you could point to. But number one is the Niners haven't won the Super Bowl thus far because they never get to Super Bowl Sunday with their Saquon Barkley 100%. They have Christian McCaffrey, but he's never been 100% on Super Bowl Sunday. And it's like, if they can get to Super Bowl Sunday with a healthy Christian, I would say that would be the first thing I would point to as how do you win that 6th Lombardi? And that means that you got to have a the legitimate RB2. And I thought Guerrero kind of proved this summer that he wasn't up for it. And so to me, the fact that they have all these injuries and they have an empty group of running backs, as far as, they're leaning this game on Keyshawn Vaughn and Jeff Wilson. I'm shocked that they were able to get this done without trading maybe more like a 4th or a 5th round pick. I thought it would be a higher price because of their seemingly desperate position, but it's almost like in football, sometimes your lack of leverage doesn't burn you.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Yeah. And it's like, Adam Peters is helping out his old buddy John Lynch. He was John Lynch's right-hand man for a long time as the assistant GM, but he came to the Niners as kind of a package deal with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan back in 2017. So Lynch calling up Adam Peters, hey man, we know that you're going to get rid of Brian Robinson. Miami Dolphins were looked at as the favorite. We really need B-Rob. Can you please help us out here? Not only are our wide receivers dropping like flies, but our running backs have been dropping like flies. And I also think this is the Niners saying, we like Isaac Guerrero. He's 6 foot 220, but we have no confidence that he can stay healthy.
Right.
We know that Brian Robinson physically can hold up. He can stay healthy. And if he needs to be a bell cow back who can also catch the ball a little bit out of the backfield like he did at Alabama, we can rely on him to do that. With Guerrero, I like the ability, right? 220, 4.3 speed. That's never been the problem. But Larry, at Wisconsin, 2019 missed 8 games because of a hamstring issue. 2020 missed 6 games because of another hamstring injury. In 2021, missed 9 games because of a foot injury. So far with the Niners, since he was drafted last year, 2024, hamstring, groin, foot sprain, hamstring, MCL, ankle. Here in training camp, shoulder. Sometimes you are who you are. And I think that Isaac Guerrero, physically, he looks the part. But sometimes these physical freaks cannot stay on the football field, and Isaac Guerrero can. And you can't rely on him being the RB2. And I think the Niners, what they don't want to do, man, can we not be in a position where we're competitive during the regular season and we have to keep making moves like bringing in Jeff Wilson and Keyshawn Vaughn? Those are more training camp bodies at this point of their careers. Let's bring in a legitimate back who can be a good complement to Christian McCaffrey, who we can give carries to with Kyle Juszczyk as the fullback, Christian McCaffrey in the slot, which can help us with our depleted wide receiver core. And I just like the optionality and the versatility that this move gives San Francisco's offense right now.
Yeah, and I don't like I like to just provide, make content. I don't like to bang on other people's content, but I do feel the need to bang on some of the people that were like, hey man, they got Jeff Wilson. They don't need to trade for Brian Robinson. I got a lot of that in the last few days. They got Keyshawn Vaughn and Jeff Wilson, Krug. They don't need. It's like
they're not Brian Robinson, man.
It's like, dude, and not only that, it's like
who's only 26, by the way.
I'm at practice. Jeff Wilson has gone to the ground like 7 times. The goal of practice is to nobody ever go to the ground, and to see a back go to the ground 5 times or 6 times in a week tells me his legs are shot.
Yeah.
So this is not Jeff Wilson. And if you're looking at Jeff Wilson at practice and you're thinking this is the Jeff Wilson of old, I got to question what you're looking at. And then the Keyshawn Vaughn thing, I don't even think he's in as good a shape as he was when the Niners had him last year. So they're just guys to get. I mean, I love Keyshawn as a guy. He's a great guy to talk to.
You've done some great interviews with him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like my guy. It's like I really like him. But I mean, he's
not Brian Robinson, man.
Yeah. And this is 2025. I mean, 2 years ago or 3 years ago when he was coming out of Vandy, maybe. But at this point, Key's just help you get through the exhibition games. I think it's a great move by the Niners. I can't believe they were able to do it. Let's move to the other move, yesterday's move. They moved back from the 6th round to the 7th round in the 27 draft. I mean, talk about hedging. Not only you have a move back in 1 round on day 3 of the draft, but it's 2 drafts from now. It's not even in this upcoming draft. It's like
a late round pick swap. It's such an NBA deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it's like somebody threw him a bottle of wine in there as well. So Sky Moore, what did you think of the Sky Moore edition? I thought it was interesting listening to Lynch yesterday on KMBR, because when he was asked about it, he's like, is this a message to JJ? And he's like, no. This is not a message to JJ. I think what this really is a message to Junior Bergen, that it ain't, you're not going to get that spot. You're not going to be the dual return man. Lynch likes the fact that Sky Moore's a dual return guy. I won't, put out a bunch of stats and sing his praises like he's a legitimate, great upgrade, but I do think he's an upgrade on Bergen.
Well, here's the thing with Junior Bergen, 7th round pick out of Montana. And Kyle Shanahan said after the draft that we are taking him exclusively to be a punt returner. And the 28-yard punt return that he had in the preseason opener against Denver was a really impressive play. Short area wiggle, made a guy miss, was able to reverse field, cut it upfield for a gain of 28 yards. That's great. The thing with Junior Bergen, while he was a decorated FCS punt returner, one of the best in the history at that level, he can't really help you as a receiver right now. And I think that if you cut him, you can bring him back to the practice squad, because right now he's a one-dimensional special teamer. And so this is a message to Junior Bergen, but this is also a move to help you buy time until Jacob Cowing can come back. Hurt his hamstring running routes against air the first day of training camp. He comes back and he already injures his hamstring again. He could be a PUP or short-term IR candidate to start the year, in talking about Jacob Cowing. And so Sky Moore is going to be able to help you as your punt return guy week 1 against Seattle. He's explosive there. I mean, the other night against Seattle, he had an 88-yard punt return against the Eagles in Super Bowl 57 back in 2022 when he was a rookie. He was dynamic on special teams, and he scored a touchdown in that game. And so he does have some ability. Now, did the Chiefs overdraft him in the 2nd round? Clearly. I mean, they moved off of him after 3 years, and last year he did not have a single catch. He was never able to jive with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And if you can't be a player with Mahomes throwing you the rock and Andy Reid calling and designing the offense, that's a little bit of a problem. But 6 of the Niners' top 7 wideouts are either unable to practice right now and hurt, or they're facing suspension in the case of Demarcus Robinson. You literally needed to make this move. And so you bring in Sky Moore, who maybe he's not on the team in a couple of months, but he can be your punt returner in week 1, which you need, because right now you don't have a punt returner. And in Kyle Shanahan's offense, You can get him acclimated and up to speed at the very least as being a gadget guy. Find a way to get him included with some jet sweeps, reverses, and bubble screens. He can be your week one punt returner, and he can be dynamic there. In college, yeah, decorated player there. Niners are hoping that they can find lightning in a bottle. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. For anybody ripping this move, this is like business 101. You give up a late round pick in 2 drafts. You're swapping late round picks. And if you get anything from Sky Moore, it's a win. And I do think that in Kyle Shanahan's offense, you can find ways for him to be a productive player. And if he does line up at wideout, give him some simple routes, bubble screens and crossers. That's all he needs to do. Get the ball in his hands to see if he can do something. And we've seen Kyle Shanahan be able to devise and draw up these plays to get receivers involved. I mean, he did it with Ray McCloud. He did it for years with players like Deebo Samuel, who became an all-pro as that Swiss Army knife type of player. And you are so injured there that you need another body, and you're not giving up anything for Sky Moore. So I'm fine with the move.
You know, he was a bust. I mean, well, you know, let's be honest. He was a second-round bust.
How did he look
right?
yesterday?
Well, he was there working out on the side, and he looked healthy. I mean, obviously he signed his contract and he passed his physical, but he never actually. Then he was on the sideline at the end of practice with the guys, and looked like he was going to get a rep or two, but I didn't see him get a rep or two. If he did, I didn't see it. But he was wearing number 6. He's a smallish guy. You know, he's a short-legged, smallish guy. You know, I mean, he was a great college player. He just has had a hard time separating and a hard time getting off the line of scrimmage. He ran 4.41, so he's got good straight line speed, but he doesn't have a lot of explosiveness in and out of the breaks, and he's not a big guy that can get off the line of scrimmage easily against, you know, the bigger corners.
Yeah, drops, fumbles, and injuries too.
Yeah, I mean, he's had injuries, but kick return, punt return, I think he's an upgrade. He had an 88-yard punt return against Arizona for a touchdown the other day. I think they saw that. Against Seattle. Yeah, against Seattle. So I saw that it was along the sidelines, and you know, I think he's an upgrade on Junior Bergen. I think they realized, you know, what I've been saying, which is that Junior Bergen's a punt returner, but he's not a receiver, and he's not a kick returner. So you can't just be a punt returner unless you're just like freaking amazing. And
unless you're Dante Hall.
Yeah. You can't just be a punt returner. You got to be, especially on this team. They're looking for that dual threat because they're trying to save a roster spot.